Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included in our ultimate base. In between the episodes I took myself the liberty of continuing what we've already started, namely filling up this water pool, also digging myself upwards, and we now found our first very easily reachable cold biome, which is gonna be the next most important step. Still looking at the temperature overlay, we have a bunch of issues. This is slowly but surely gonna heat up the entirety of my base, so we need at least measurements in order to stop that from happening. We already did so here in our waste room. This is a chilly 18 degrees, and that's just how we like it. So I kind of want to make sure they put priority into this dig. Also, whenever you reveal one of these vents, you should go ahead and analyze it with your researcher. I did that as soon as possible and then just closed it off to forget about it. The gases outside of the base look kind of crazy. We have a mix of polluted oxygen, chlorine and normal oxygen. This is just absolutely insane. I'm gonna set up one more of these deodorizers. Look at that. Weezeworts. I'm so glad I found you guys. Apart from the Weezeworts, there is another important material, wolframite. This tungsten material has such a high thermal conductivity, it is gonna become very useful. I'm gonna make my way up here with a little granite ladder, and then we just staircase down here in order to grab all the nice wolframite. As well as the Weezewort, of course. Beautiful. It is a small cold biome, but it definitely had to offer something for us. We also now have the stone eggs in our incubator. Soon enough I'm gonna fill this up with all incubators, all stone hatchlings, and we will have a feast. I'm so sure we can do this. I even removed the upper farm that I placed temporarily in order to help us out. Finally, this was so necessary. It's gonna take a while to get back to the normal stage, but we will do it. Especially if we don't utilize the machines for a certain amount of time, we can get back to a chilly 20-degree state. Hold on, somewhere we already have a stone hatchling. That is great. So we want to swap that to granite. We want to feed that to them. And then we also need to bring the stone hatches here. Ooh, check this out. We are already exposed to space at this point. This is crazy. This ice biome is just a snooch away. Lovely times, I have to say. But there's another Weezewort we can grab. In terms of polluted water, we are probably done for now. So I think what we can do is open this up and continue our endeavors towards the bottom as well. This also means I want to open up a little door here in order to gain access to this room, and we want to close it off at this point. Another skill point for Ashcan, he's gonna go into medicine. Remember, we upped his medicine priority since sometimes he's got nothing important to do. I might also want to set up a mechanized airlock in this place so we can prevent as many gases from poking through as possible. What do we even have in here? Some polluted oxygen, a lot of chlorine. I mean, eventually we'll have to get rid of it anyways, right? But the chlorine, the green stuff here, seems to be gathering at the bottom anyway. So we just wait for long enough and we will have all the chlorine at the bottom so we can get rid of it in one go. Skill point for the cook, not masterworks. We need to do improved carrying and maybe even exosuit before that. She's got enough into decorating already to fulfill all our needs. As you can see here, there's another cold biome at the bottom, minus 31 degrees. This is just perfect. We're gonna find the rest of the Weezeworts that we need in order to thermoregulate our base in the beginning. And then hopefully eventually we're gonna revamp the entirety of my base to be cooled with a liquid system. We'll have to see how it adds up. One nifty trick to keep your water in check: as soon as you've discovered a water biome, or a cold biome I mean, you have the possibility to place down temp shift plates within the bodies of water. You can build these temp shift plates out of any kind of material, including polluted ice and normal ice. It looks as though at the moment we only have polluted ice available to us, but this can just as well be used in order to cool down your polluted water tank. Actually, let's do that just as an example. I'm gonna set down 2 temp shift plates. Hold on, what material? Yeah, polluted ice. I made it out of polluted ice, and I want to make sure it is touching the water itself. If you build it up there, it's gonna take forever to melt. Liam the farmer with another skill point. He can get his exosuit training now, finally. Gonna feel so much better in these suits now. I almost missed it. There we go, the temp shift plate. So let's have a look at the temperature and what is going to change as soon as we get that plate in the joint. Look at that. We get water, quickly distributing the coolness towards the other parts of the water. So this is a really good early game method in order to cool down your liquids. I also would like to get started on a couple of decorations for our bedrooms. Just, you know, a plant, maybe a painting or so. Yeah, we can actually set up one of these pedestals with granite. I think this can go below here, and we can put an item on top of it. Meep the operator, I'm happy to promote you to Mechatronics Engineering, the best operator of them all. Within these wall pots, I want to plant myself some mirth leaf, and I believe this is purely an aesthetic plant. So all of this is gonna have the same setting. Beautiful. I'm gonna make my duplicants so happy. There's another 2, 4, 6 Weezwards in this cold biome. We have been lucky and our base is safe. We can take our sweet time in order to plan out the next steps. This also means I'm not gonna be giving too many new building commands, and I'm gonna focus on actually cleaning up the base for once, and after that we can go crazy again. Actually, I've been lying. One more build command I might give is a mod, namely the Wallpaper. This is also slightly increasing decorations, not by a lot mind you, but most importantly it is hiding piping that is behind it. It is not actually doing it in real, it's just a visual thing. You don't see the piping, the bad decor from the piping is still there. So just to get things started, we're gonna use some sandstone in order to fill up our bathrooms with a wallpaper. Also looks like one of our duplicants got in a pickle there. No, they're gonna be out of there in no time. But dude, they're not always acting intelligently. Well, actually now that we're also not so much in a hurry, I think it is good to give them another downtime slot. Like 4 downtime slots should be enough to get from the top and the bottom of the map back in time. Should be good, just one more for you, and then in the end, in the very end game, we're gonna give them one more. Looks like we found a anti-entropy thermo nullifier. This alien machine or structure can be fed with hydrogen, and it is going to cool the gases around the machine that are freely roaming around. It is not my most favorite method of cooling down things because it feels kind of like a cheat engine, but so are the Weezwards. What can I say? Alrighty, we're back and I let the game run for a couple of cycles, just managed the basics. Let me tell you maybe the most important points. We have a bunch more guys now with the exosuit training, so if we go through the skill points here, we can see about 3/4 of our guys now have the exosuit training. I also continued digging all the way down to the oil biome, and I actually dug out a good chunk in order to start set up my oil pumping scenario. I found a really good oil pocket right here. It had like 3,000 kilograms per tile, so this was all spilling out and is now distributing all over the place. I'm probably gonna set up my pump right here. You can see this spot here is 103 degrees hot. Sending duplicants without an atmo suit in there is gonna be their doom. They get scalded at around 75 degrees. So we're now ready to dive into the oil age, but I also wanted to submit the bioscan for this. I just wanted to show you that there are a couple of these points of interest around. For instance, there are vending machines, we can even inspect that. And maybe the most interesting point of interest is gonna be the neural vacillator. This thing allows duplicants to gain extra traits. This can be very useful. Another milestone we achieved, we have our first couple of stone hatchlings in the joint. That means we are eventually going to get rid of the normal hatchlings, and we're going to have at least 2, maybe even 3 of those farms. Another thing that happened is I had a lot of polluted oxygen on the top here from actually sealing this off. This was just stuff leaking through and I ignored it for too long, and this resulted in a whole bunch of slime lung accumulating in the upper portion of my base. So what I did is just set up a whole bunch of deodorizers to get rid of that, and now slowly but surely these slime lungs should disappear. But it's sure gonna take a while. Another useful piece of information, I'm not sure I've already mentioned this, but if you leave an egg in a storage, it is going to break into an egg that you can cook and it's not going to hatch. So maybe that is something noteworthy. Also, I'm sure you've already seen that, but we have a whole bunch more incubators. My goal is to get 4 more incubators. We can then have 1 more stable on the top here, and then every egg that is additional to these incubators we can cook. And of course also every critter that exceeds the limit of 8 critters per stable is going to get killed off. For meat, of course, not just senseless. Looking at the temperature overlay, we can see things are slowly getting better. This is already 28 degrees. Right here we're good anyway, so maybe another Weezward on the top here couldn't hurt. By the way, digging into the oil biome gave us lead, which is an already refined material. This is extremely handy as you will get a lot of this stuff. The only problem about lead is that it usually has a lower overheat temperature, so you cannot build too many machines out of lead that are in a rough environment. But we could definitely go ahead and build the incubators out of lead, therefore gain the copper back from the other ones. Looks like the polluted oxygen cannot escape quick enough. I think I'm gonna add a couple more airflow tiles to help out with that. Looks like we're getting rid of the slime lung finally. Okay, that was a little bit concerning in my base, even though, you know, the diseases aren't what they used to be. It used to be much harsher to make mistakes with slime lung, for instance. And we're back. Just a little bit of time has passed. I gave them some more opportunities to clean up the base. Of course, storing is always going to be a lower priority than the main job. And that is okay if they take a while to clean things up. I even made a little storage so I can get rid of the brine I actually received from the portal, and I also added an automatic dispenser for any materials that I don't want to collect in here but that I still want to sweep up. I even have this little ration box in here for the muck root and the nutrient bar, so they are out of the way. Those are only emergency rations should we ever run out of food. Looks like Hassan gained another skill point. We could go either into improved strength, but I think what is wiser would be to go down the operating path. Now, they are never gonna operate a machine. However, there are certain things they simply cannot build without the operating skill. We could also go into improved construction. Is it too early to do that? Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna spend at least 1 point into improved construction. Should we ever need to build something, we can still use Meep. We can temporarily put his building priority to the highest, so he's gonna build the stuff that required the skill. Just a little annoyance. In terms of research, I'm going down the automation route, so I'm unlocking a couple of gates, and what I also did is I unlocked the germ sensor. Now, where was that? Right here, pathogen diagnostics. We got the gas pipe sensor, the liquid pipe sensor, and I would like to use a combination of those and shutoffs in order to do my germ purification system. We'll see how that works out. If not, I have another trick up my sleeve that is a little less elegant, but it is definitely gonna work. Oh, I just noticed for my plan I'm going to need plastic, so maybe that is the next thing we're gonna take care of. I already actually started the room for that. So I'm gonna use igneous rock in order to insulate this room. This is gonna be a very, very hot room. What we wanna have in this room is something we haven't researched yet. The plastic production is simply crazy in terms of how much heat it produces, so we want to be a little careful setting this up. I want to make sure this is all enclosed, and actually I think we're gonna utilize the entirety of this room. Why the heck not? The reason I'm not having the insulated tile exposed to the other parts of my base is because of decor. Research of the automation gates is completed. Now we need to go into the machines we actually require to do this. Let me see. We are going to need the polymer press in order to produce plastic. By researching that, we're also researching the oil refinery, which is required to get the petroleum to feed the polymer presses. So that kind of goes hand in hand. You know what? Even better, we're gonna specialize Otto in operating so he can build the stuff instead of the hard digging. We already have Ellie and Hassan doing the hard digging. This is perfect. So another 2 skill points and we will be there. However, now I slowly need to be careful with the morale requirements. I don't want to stress out my duplicants. The liquid lock should already be functioning, so what I want to do is vent out all the gases. The plastic production needs a clean vacuum to get ourselves started. We unlocked the oil refinery. I want to have this building right here in the beginning, because this building will need to be operated on, so cutting down on travel time. We need to input oil into the refinery. It's gonna spit out some petroleum, but also natural gas in the environment. I just love to watch the flow of gases. This has been visualized in a great way in this game. Now for the very last time I'm gonna make one of these temporaries. Do I still have this battery? I should have deconstructed this a long time ago. Oops. This is unnecessarily producing heat in an inefficient way. Anyways, this is gonna be my last temporary battery setup before we start our centralized power system. We're gonna need to supply power to the oil refinery as well as 2 polymer presses as well as gas pumps and sensors. It's kind of crazy actually. Maybe we're gonna need an upgrade in power. There it is, the polymer press. Let's actually have a look at that power situation. We could still unlock low resistance conductors. The conductive wire can take 2 kilowatts instead of just 1. So yeah, let's just unlock that in case we need it. Polymer presses. Can I build 2 of you like so? And that still leaves me enough space for a pump. I'm not so sure about this setup. Let's maybe complete the blueprint and then we are gonna decide. Now we could build everything out of lead, and I think I could do that. I mean, this room is gonna be about 105 degrees. Shouldn't be much more, hopefully. However, the machines, I just remembered, I cannot build these out of copper. This needs to go. What we need to do, and this is very important since we are going above 100 degrees, it's actually important going above 75 or so degrees. We want to build these out of gold amalgam. Overheat temperature plus 50 degrees. This is extremely important, so we need those. Actually, if we put the liquid lock one more block back, I would have the space for a sensor, or we open up this block. This might even be better. Yeah, let me deconstruct this. I wanted a Atmo dock station with 2 suits, so this is why I left a little bit of space there. But if I just take this out, this is gonna leave me the space for a sensor that is checking for liquids on the floor. You can actually see it here in the effects. Overheat temperature 75 degrees, plus 50 degrees, so we can go up to 125, which we shouldn't exceed if we do this right. It's a different story with cables, automation wires, bins for instance. They don't have an overheat temperature, they just have a melting point, which is usually much higher. That means last but not least we're gonna need a liquid pump made out of gold amalgam. Gonna put that right here, and we're actually also gonna replace this gas pump. This is gonna remain here in order to get rid of the natural gas that's gonna be accumulating, but we also need to build the gas pump out of gold amalgam. Next up, we're gonna need an Atmo sensor in order to check how much natural gas we already have in here. Let's place that right there. Obviously, we're also gonna need the hydro sensor that I'm gonna place right here, just like I announced. We have automation wire going all the way over to this pump, and then the liquid automation would go into this pump. It is now also time to say goodbye to our hatchling population. We're gonna commit genocide and we're gonna swap everything up here. So as of this point, we don't want hatchlings anymore, we only want the stone hatch and hatchlings. We also want to copy over the settings for everything else, so we're not gonna feed them any more sedimentary rock, we're gonna feed them granite. Yeah, looking at all these numbers, I think we are better off actually using the conductive wire, so it's a good thing I'm researching that. It might also be a good idea to set up another coal generator, as one of them only produces 600 watts. Whoops, I totally forgot about creating this liquid lock. Well, a couple of mob commands should take care of that. We can go ahead and already drag over the gas pipe for the oxygen. Let's see, we're gonna have the station and then 2 docks for the Atmo suits, which also means I want to create 2 more Atmo suits. Checkpoint, this time we're gonna build it out of lead, then 2 docks just like that. Ah, there we go. Research completed. Just in the nick of time. So now we have access to the conductive wire taking 2 kilowatts. We can also build that out of our precious lead. Only has a melting point and not a overheat temperature. Just in case you're confused, the idea is we are pumping in oil, we get petroleum in order to feed the polymer presses and later on also store some, maybe use petroleum generators. We will be getting natural gas into this room that we are gonna pump out using this gas pump. We can then use the natural gas to generate some extra power as well. It's not gonna be much though. This is all about the oil refinery. Next up, the polymer presses are gonna use the petroleum to generate plastic, and they're gonna expel carbon dioxide through a pipe, and they are also gonna produce some steam. The steam hopefully is gonna condense into water, helping us cool down these machines. The water eventually is gonna accumulate. With this sensor, we detect when it is time to actually pump the water out, so these machines don't count as flooded. Now there's still a potential problem I can see. We might want to use metal tiles in order to help us out with the heat distribution. But that means I kind of have to break up my pattern and maybe add another insulation layer here. We'll see, I guess. There's one more thing we need to build, the auto sweeper. Now I want to build this in a way so that it can reach 1 tile further than the polymer presses, but also has the smart storage bin in its range. So if I build this right here, this is actually absolutely perfect. We can reach the plastic that potentially drops over here, but we can also reach the storage bin. Once the storage bin is full, it is going to emit a green signal, which means we want to shut off the polymer presses. So all we need is a NOT gate that we are going to build right here and then tell the polymer presses to shut off. We don't want to produce any more plastic beyond one storage bin for the time being. We're also going to need an automation bridge right there. Beautiful. Looks like our docks are ready to use. Yeah, we now have access again and people can start building that. Now, this is a skill required operation. So the auto sweeper is one of the first things that actually requires skill points in operation to be even built. I decided to rearrange myself a little bit so we can accommodate this contraption in a 4-high room. What is going to happen now, we're going to have a very thin layer of water on top of this. This is all we need. We need the water in order to help transfer the heat. We don't need the water to actually do the cooling. The water is going to dribble down, and if we accumulate enough, this pump is going to be activated. Now you can see I installed these metal tiles. I actually first had to research that together with the metal refinery. We can build it out of copper and lead for the time being. Wolframite is even better, or tungsten actually. Checking out the properties of the copper tile, we can see this has a thermal conductivity of 60, which is extremely high. Well, it is actually high enough. And if we check out the lead tile, it is only 35. And there it is, the wolframite. This has an even higher thermal conductivity. Let's actually maybe build a couple of these. Let's do 10 crafts and then we're gonna do a little comparison. Oh no, I just noticed I cannot place the auto sweeper in a reasonable manner this way. Yeah, this is a little bit of a pity, but I rather deform the room upwards than downwards. I have other plans for the downwards section. So having the auto sweeper right here is actually gonna be perfect. That means I can even tile this off, though do I still... Yeah, I still have visibility to the smart storage. Just to show you, you can see here the smart storage isn't full, so it's sending a red signal. The NOT signal is changing that into a green signal, so the polymer presses will be operational as soon as we provide them with the resources. Ah, look at this, tungsten, refined material. So this should give us at least the possibility to place this down to check the properties. So this also has a thermal conductivity of 60. The specific heat capacity is the amount of heat it can take before raising in temperature. So imagine you can heat up gases much quicker than liquids, because liquids usually have a higher heat capacity. They can take more until they raise 1 degree. This means copper is totally fine for our purposes. Now there's one more thing I would like to check out, and that is a temp shift plate in a more functional manner than we used to up to this point. We can also make these out of wolframite. Let's check this out. Let's also check out the copper version. There's a lead version. We can make them out of refined copper or normal copper, and we can even make them out of diamond, which we find down at the bottom in the oil biome. Very easy. Copper with the same stats, so it's 60. However, the copper ore has only 4.5, so it would be horrible to use copper ore instead of refined ore. Wolframite comes with conductivity of 15, we have 35 for the lead, and then finally 80 for the diamond. So diamond is definitely the best thing we can use right now. What I want to do is place the temp shift plates in places where we have water, gases, and the machines coming together. So right here would be the best spots for it. Since diamond material is really easy to get, I'm also going to do it for the oil refinery. And I think with that out of the way, we have everything we need except the oil. So that would be... Whoa, wait. I don't want you to build that actually. Obviously, what we need now is a pump down here in the oil biome. And we want to make this out of gold amalgam. It's 100 degrees down here, remember. We can then take normal granite pipes. It doesn't really matter at this point. We go all the way up here and up there. And then at this point we are actually entering the cold biome, so we could think about cooling down the oil a little bit in order to help us with the procedure. Naturally, this is only a temporary solution, but there's a lot of coolness saved in the mass of this biome, and we should take advantage of it. The way to take advantage of this is actually the radiant pipes. We also get a bunch of other nice tools, but this is what I'm after right now. In the meantime, we're just gonna keep going, and I think at this point I wanna filter the liquids. At some point we're gonna actually get the polluted water and normal water that we accumulated here. Maybe there's even gonna be some salt water. We wanna make sure we only get the oil up in the place. As long as we have some coal, we're gonna take advantage of that. I'm gonna place in the cold biome my generation setup for the pump. All we need is a power cable going all the way down to our pump. I'm gonna install a liquid filter in this place. We're gonna lead the pipe through here, and then everything that is not what we want, actually let's just dump it on top of the battery. This also means we're gonna use the plier mod in order to disconnect this again, and then we're gonna come out here. So this is perfect. Assuming at this point we have the oil filtered out, we're just gonna bring it all the way along beneath our base. And as I enter my base, I want to make sure we use insulated piping. I don't want to distribute the heat from the oil. We're going to make our way all the way up to here where we're going to have some oil reservoirs. So we can actually take advantage of only having a 3 high room at this place. Let's make sure we don't forget to select the crude oil. I think it is. There we go. Okay, I guess this is going to take a while to get built, but it should work eventually. And then once we have the radiant pipe researched, we're gonna replace a couple of pipes within the cold biome to get the cooling down effect. Said and done, radiant liquid pipe. We could also build this out of tungsten. Let's actually make a comparison here as well. Tungsten, lead, or copper. Copper comes with 120, this is crazy, 70 for the lead and 120 for the tungsten as well. So let's use copper, tungsten is way more precious. We want to replace a couple of pipes right here. Let's do 8 radiant pipes and see what happens. You also have to take into consideration at a certain point the oil is gonna hold because we have all our reservoirs filled up. We don't use it up at the moment, and this is just gonna cool down more and more to the ambient temperature, so we might not even need this many radiant pipes. Also, the granite pipes we are using right here, they are exchanging heat with the environment, so I think what we will be ending up with is a temperature of around 30 to 40 degrees, maybe even 50 degrees, if we have this area heat up more and more. I'm gonna use a liquid reservoir. I'm also gonna make this out of gold amalgam just to be sure. So this is gonna be oil. Let's do 2 oil, and then maybe let's also do 2 petroleum. Do I want to have these right next to each other? It might actually be nifty. So we expand this floor a little bit, and then we are gonna remove these tiles. So my oil can go into here and then straight into here. We will be able to store 10 tons of oil ready for use. By the way, we have our vacuum right here, which means I can set up the sensor. Let's say I want to take away the natural gas as soon as we are above 1,500 grams. 2,000 is the maximum, but we also want to make use of the natural gas in terms of transporting the heat, helping with the cooling effect. The more thermal mass we have in this room, the better. We don't want it to be a complete vacuum. The hydro sensor on the other side can go very low. Let's say if it is above 10 kilograms, let's do 30 kilograms. If the water is more than 30 kilograms right here, we're gonna start pumping. Now, as mentioned, in order to get this auto sweeper built, what I have to do with my operator is set the building to the maximum just very briefly. Let's see this happen. Aaron's meep. Yeah, there we go. It's now his #1 task. There he comes already. Get this built. Thank you very much. And now we're gonna lower that again. I just noticed the auto sweeper also has to be built out of gold amalgam. Always check the overheat temperature. Ah, finally, we have the oil pumping up. What a beautiful sight. The plastic age isn't far away now. At this point we are filtering it out, and it cannot continue because we haven't completed our piping somewhere. Yeah, right there actually, because those are quite unreachable. Nice one, Ellie. She's going nuts. Okay, there we go. We got it in place. Should now be able to continue. It is wonderful. Let's analyze what we managed to do with the radiant pipes. It comes in at 54 degrees at this point, and then once it leaves the radiant pipes, it is at a temperature of 6.2 degrees. These pipes are just incredible, and if we look at the temperature, this is gonna distribute so much heat, it is actually quite amazing. As a matter of fact, this has such a good effect that I'm gonna go with only 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do 3 tiles. That should be enough to maybe lower it down to 30 degrees. Great, now it's tucking along here, and it's gonna be filling up our oil reservoir. So the next step is gonna be to get the oil refinery running, and after that the polymer presses. Our oil is coming in at a nice 45 degree. Maybe I'm gonna add 1 more radiant pipe. But what we want to do now is hook this up to the oil refinery, and I'm gonna go with more insulated pipes. We're gonna go down 2 slots and then straight over into the refinery. Then we're gonna be coming out, and we want to supply the polymer presses. But do I first want to fill up the reservoirs? That might be an idea. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna do that. So we are gonna need to maybe bridge this up. Let's just see. Petroleum goes back into this tank and into this tank, and then we wanna shoot straight down. That's good. We want to use a bridge into this direction and another bridge into this direction. Actually, one more bridge right here, obviously. Okay, there we go. Now we have the petroleum coming up. We want to make our way towards the metal tiles, and as of the metal tiles, we want to switch to radiant pipes again. The radiant pipes we're going to use in a zigzag pattern like this. And it looks as though we might want to do this the other way around. So we'll be coming from here and then do this like so we can go up again and don't run into issues with the oil pipe. So all of this section is radiant pipes. It's gonna be the petroleum temperature, which is around 70 to 80 degrees or so, and that is good. It is gonna help cooling down the presses to around that temperature, or at least keep it below 125. Hold on, I had even a better idea. What if we came in from here, radiant pipe, go all the way through the tiles, and then we come back through the polymer presses. This way we still cover all of the tiles, but we have the end of the line here, and we can still distribute the petroleum this way, for instance, into other locations where it's needed. With that out of the way, we have closed the loop. I just want to keep these two pipes separate. So they're first going to build everything and we can create some petroleum before everything goes nuts with the polymer presses. I also want some natural gas in there. Otherwise we have no way to get rid of the heat. Looks like we have completed the oil line. That's great. The oil refinery is filling up and therefore Meep, my operator, can come operate it. This is gonna become very hot. I'm just gonna set up another Weesward right here to counteract that. But there we go. Meep is operating the oil refinery. And if we have a look at the temperature, you can see it is raising extremely quickly. Oh my gosh, it is going up really quick. However, the natural gas is accumulating. That is good. Now I believe what would be good is having some steam in here. Actually, the water would help out with the overheating process. So, should we do it? Oh no! I forgot something. We still have some carbon dioxide coming out of these polymer presses, and it is actually hot carbon dioxide, so I don't want that in my base. I guess for the time being, we're just gonna go straight up and release it somewhere here, where we can worry about it another time. Okay, sweet. We got everything in place. It is time to connect these two pipes and see the polymer presses at work. The petroleum is coming in and they should be working automatically. This is the cooling down process. Well, right now we don't have anything to cool down, but as soon as they start working, we will be seeing a extreme raise in temperature. Naturally, our coal generators are not being supplied. Actually, let's give this a priority of 7 for the time being. I can't believe you haven't filled up the coal generators. But there we go. The temperature is going up. It's going above 110 degrees already. All we want is one freaking single plastic. Because that is going to generate the steam and therefore the water, and there we have our thermal conductivity actually working with the piping we have. Just, no, don't go above 125. Oh, there we go. We just got it. You see the water now, and it is now going down in temperature. So we were actually lucky. It just was about to take some overheating damage. But like this, we are absolutely fine. Now this pipe is blocked. Let me just quickly see. Okay, I cannot do it like so. So what we're gonna do is just cut this off. And we get our second plastic in the joints. The water is distributing. That is good. I'm actually gonna lower this down to 10 kilograms. We really only need a thin layer. The last thing we need to do is actually store the plastic in here. We can see the auto sweeper in action now. It took the plastic, it is storing it in the bin. As soon as the bin is full, the polymer presses are going to be shut off. That is the basic concept behind it, and so far it seems to be working out. The petroleum at the moment is 74 degrees. And since we have a little bit of new petroleum flowing in, we can keep this temperature in check. Pretty nifty, I would say. I'm actually pretty happy with this contraption so far. Let's see if it can stand the test of time. But with that out of the way, I would say we're gonna wrap up today's episode. I sure hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, have a great time, and see you soon. Bye bye.